Hey everyone, my name is Emmanuel Knafo. I'm one of the founders of DevOps Shield, and in this video, I'll show you how to install DevOps Shield on Azure as a web app for containers. Now, let's first log in to hub.docker.com. And if you search on Docker Hub for DevOps Shield, you will see our container here, DevOps Shield /DevOps Shield. And if you click on this, you'll see a bunch of information on how to install this container, how to run it. You can run it locally on your machine, either through the command line with a Docker run command, or even using the Docker desktop GUI, as well as install it on any of the major clouds. Now, we're going to focus on Azure. Everything I'm going to say in this video is fully automated in a single PowerShell script here, but we're going to focus on the manual installation. Now, before I do that, in the quick start, we advertise the live demo, which is accessible by everyone. It's at demo.devopsshield.com. I'm going to go ahead and open that in a separate tab. As you can see, you have the latest version of DevOps Shield installed and publicly available. All you need to do is log in. It's the same username and password, DevOps Shield, as the hint implies, and you go ahead and log in. Now you'll see readily available demo data. You are in read-only mode, so it's only about exploring this, but you can see how it's set up, look at some of the automation tasks that ran. In other words, these, for example, tasks that run assessments and take the inventory control and so on. So you can look at the organizations, fully explore all the Azure DevOps resources, whether it's a bunch of organizations or projects within these organizations, repositories, branches, service connections. It's all there. Finally, you can look at a security overview with recommended practices, as well as any of the snapshots of DevOps Shield assessments. So you can click on any one of these and view the full details. Now, one more thing is that you can explore some of these links as well. You can go back to Docker Hub by clicking on this link. You can you can go to the Azure Marketplace even to install this product, DevOps Shield. It's right here from the Microsoft Azure Marketplace. And finally, if you've taken the time to look at this application, then please provide us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. I'll open this up in a new tab. It's a very simple survey. It takes no more than 2 minutes to fill out. There's about 10 questions, multiple choices, except for this last question right here, which allows you to provide more detail to tell us what we could change to improve our product. Finally, it's anonymous, but if you would like to provide your name and email address, please go ahead and click yes here and enter your name and email. And of course, don't forget to click on the submit button so that we can take into account your feedback. All right, let's go full throttle on the Azure installation. I'm going to close all the tabs except for the portal. So just log in to the Azure Portal, and then you'd like to create a resource. There's multiple ways of doing that. One way is to hit the hamburger menu on the top left and click on Create a Resource. Now I'm going to look, maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger here. I'm going to look for Web App for Containers. You should find it. So go ahead and click Web App for Containers, and it's most likely going to be the first tile, Web App for Containers right here. And then go ahead, make sure this is a Microsoft Azure service, and go ahead and click on Create. That's what I'm going to do right now. Now you could pick which subscription to install in. It's going to work on any subscription, including an MSDN or even one of the trial subscriptions. Now go ahead and click on Create New for your resource group, or place it in an existing resource group. I'm going to create a new one. So DevOps Shield Demo 003. Let's create a new resource group right here. Now the web app needs to be globally unique. You can call it whatever you want. I'll call it app-devops shield demo 003. Now what's important is you do want to pick Docker container, because that's the version that we're going to be installing on Linux, and pick any region. I'll leave it for East US. Finally, pick a plan. You can pick an existing one or create a new one. Here I have a new one right here that was generated for me, and then pick a pricing plan. Now, depending on how many Azure DevOps resources you might want to decrease or increase this. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to keep that. And next we click on Next. There's nothing to fill in the database. It's going to be basically a local SQLite database. Nothing for deployment, but when we come to Docker, and you can directly click this Docker tab as well, you will need to leave the options as single container, but you're going to need to change the image source, and you want to pick Docker Hub. The access type is public. The image and tag, well, it's DevOps Shield / DevOps Shield. Now we're okay with the default tag, but if you wanted to specify a specific tag, you can go ahead and do that and pick a tag that's available on the marketplace. In our case, we want to leave it as latest. The default is latest. You could specifically type it with a colon latest, but you don't have to. So DevOps Shield / DevOps Shield is enough. I'm going to click on Next. Now you can enable public access or turn it off as well. If you're familiar with Azure, you'll know how to do these things, but I'm going to leave this as is and go all the way. Feel free to add a tag. So maybe my environment, and let's call it a demo environment, or maybe even just test here. Finally, I'm going to go to Next, Review and Create, and we're ready to go. So notice you just have to pick a subscription, a resource group, a unique, globally unique name. Make sure that you pick DevOps Shield / DevOps Shield as your Docker container, and select the right plan, size, and region for you. So I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and click on Create. So this should create the app. There's going to be a single thing to change, and it's actually also in the hub.docker.com instructions. I will show you. Let's go back to this DevOps Shield. And when you go to the detailed instructions using Azure Web App for containers, this is what we're doing, right? We filled out all these fields. But one thing that will be important once the deployment is complete, we're going to want to change the default port to 8080. And this can be done by copying this thing right here, websites_port, and setting it to 8080 in the app settings. So it actually takes an S right here. Let's see, we are finished. So let me go ahead and go to the resource. And in the configuration, you're going to want to add a new application setting. Notice like websites enabled. So it's going to have the value 8080. And what you want to write is websites with an S _port. All right, it's as simple as that. Let's go ahead and click on OK. If I show values, for instance, we didn't need to put a server password nor a server username for Docker registry because we're using the publicly available image. But what's important is you should see this websites _port 80 with a value 8080. That's what's important. Notice there's a star here, so we do need to save. And this will, of course, do a reboot of the app service. So we're going to need a little bit of time before the app service is browsable. But you could find it in the overview right here. You have the URL right here. So I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab, but knowing that it probably needs a little bit more time to load the application. While this is loading, I do want to point out you can either go to the deployment center or to the log stream to kind of watch what's going on in terms of the loading. So just in case you're having issues trying to load the app. But the key here is to be patient, especially depending on the size that you chose. Sometimes what I also do, I'm going to duplicate this tab right here, is I also, well, it looks like it's running already. So the website's port basically guarantee that it's going to run it on port 8080. This is this website's port here. And that's the port that is exposed by the container. So I think, okay, I might need to refresh here. I think it's going to load, and exactly it loaded right here. I have the latest version, and that's it. You've installed it. Let me just remind you, for once it's installed, you're going to want to log in with DevOps Shield. So let me go ahead and do that. And then, of course, change the password. So DevOps Shield. Now you can leverage Edge to generate one for you, or put a password yourself. I'm going to go ahead and change that password, and that's it. I can go to the dashboard, and we've installed the DevOps Shield container on a web app for container on Azure. And you could, there's zero data now, of course. This is this is a private instance on your subscription, and you can go ahead and do a setup configuration, and then click on a quick setup here. And I've said this in other installations because there's multiple ways of installing this, but you're going to need to put a tenant ID that's backing your Azure DevOps organization. The tenant name, you could put anything, but typically you might want to call it by your actual tenant name. An organization name does need to match your Azure DevOps organization name. And finally, a PAT token for that organization. You'll want to generate a full PAT token and enter that here. Once you're done all that, you could start setup now. And then basically your first assessment will run. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to give us some feedback, and I hope you enjoyed this product. Hope to see you either on GitHub, on our website, or through our contact us email, and hopefully even get some feedback through the forums. All right, enjoy, and talk to you later.